Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. So, earnings on the radar. It's coming a couple days earlier than normal. Uh, Obviously, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. It's a holiday. Markets are closed. Everybody's going to be eating turkey and having cranberry sauce and stuffing and not going to be thinking about stocks. But Friday, we come back and figured this was a good opportunity to get this out a little bit earlier, maybe start like prepping on Friday a little bit earlier because I know most people either trade very early and kind of duck out. It's a half day Friday, or a lot of people just take the day off and spend the time with the friends and family. So figured I'd get this out a couple days earlier, and you can get around to watching it whenever works best for you. All right. So this coming week, first week of December, and actually a pretty busy tech week. So you'll see you've got a bunch of high profile, high growth software stocks. And that's definitely going to be like the main theme for earnings this coming week. All right. So Monday before the open, really nothing of interest on my end. After the close, only one name, but it's a big one, Coupa. All right, pricing in. Well, let me say this before I start. Because we are a few days out, these options could change, so the pricing could change a little bit. I mean, they're probably not going to change too much, but maybe like a small percentage, like on either side, right? I mean, they could go up a little bit, they could go down a little bit because we're a few days out. But Coupa looking for about 14 and a half points. All right, and it's actually only one of maybe like two to three that I can think of off the top of my head of Momo software stocks that are basically right at their 52-week high because a lot got demolished in September. This one held in a lot better. You can see, right? Held in a lot better. Actually put in a new high at the beginning of October, which is even more uncommon. So this has definitely turned into a leader, and it's going to probably need to be another strong quarter to maintain that leadership role. But last quarter was great. The quarter before that was great. I'm bullish biased here. I guess the biggest issue for me is that I don't really know how to approach these software stocks at the moment because they still really aren't getting rewarded to the upside. Because we had a couple this week, we had some last week, and they're still not really getting paid on the upside. So, I might use the first couple reports this week as kind of like a maybe like a barometer to see if maybe they are going to start rewarding them, or if it's still kind of just like muted responses, then really going to kind of keep things like tight next week with because a lot of similar setups to like Coupa. Well, maybe not as strong, but a lot of similar stocks, a lot of similar software, like high growth, high valuation software names. So um, this one's interesting, and if it's good, maybe you're looking at a move up into like the high 160s, 170 area. Before the open Tuesday, you have AutoZone, which isn't confirmed, so we can circle back to that once they confirm it. And then Cons, so kind of like an under the radar, volatile retailer. They're pricing in 325 or so, but those are monthly options. Had a solid quarter back in September, popped and ran, and now it's rolled all the way back down. Monthly options are a little bit more expensive because you got to pay for the extra time, but I still feel like it leaves some room. So maybe look at a volatility strategy. Just because also like Aaron's AAN volatile, Best Buy which is volatile, so kind of seems like this could be a mover. Even the fact that they're monthly options too. All right, after the close Tuesday, Marvell semi $1.75 is what's priced in. Definitely like swing trading this, but earnings been kind of mixed performance. It hasn't really had a large move on earnings all year. I do like the setup, as you can see. If we go back, right, you can see it kind of popped, and it's like at the top of like this trend, right? So it kind of popped and it's holding. So I do like the setup, but um, you know, I just don't feel like it has a great history of moving on earnings. So I'm not necessarily sure I want to lay out the money. So if I do anything with it, it'll probably be smaller and maybe more speculative, but definitely lean more bullish on that one. Salesforce. So actually, I'll start with the chart here. I mean, 625 is what's expected. Big tech report, but they just guided higher at their investor day last week. So I'm really not sure how volatile it's going to be. But as you can see from like the longer term chart, I mean, it looks just like perched under resistance and could be set up for like a big breakout if the numbers are solid. So they got it early. and they have a history of pretty solid results. So I'm thinking bullish, but my my normal rule is that if a company guides early, I tend to avoid. So this is kind of in the avoid camp, but if I do anything, it might be something like longer term. So maybe not like necessarily playing the catalyst, but just playing like the overall setup, because it seems like if it gets through like 165, 166, it could really start to take off. Workday. So this is another one that had some early guidance. Priced in 12 points, but this thing got absolutely destroyed back on their investor day here. As you can see, this thing got absolutely just rocked, and it's come all the way back. And I really don't like the setup at all. And the options aren't cheap, so I'm most likely leaving this one alone. Zscaler, another software stock that got absolutely rocked. This one was on September quarter, right? Thing got smashed. Priced it in 6.5 for earnings this coming week, and the stock has started to show some signs of life just recently. I mean, for a while it really couldn't bounce, but just starting to come to life. The chart looks like it could have maybe 6 to 8 points either way, but options are priced in at 6.5, so I don't know if they leave a lot of room there. Um, I feel like the only way I could play this would be if I was able to get risk down, maybe with like flies or spreads. Just because I don't know if the options really leave a lot of room on this one. Wednesday before the open, there's really nothing that crosses my radar. After the close, you have a few more software names. So Elastic, 9.5 points, what's priced in. Those are monthly options. We've traded this in the past, and it usually moves pretty well. It jumped, so you can see here, it jumped 12 points last quarter, but that was also before software stocks got slammed in September. I am bullish biased on this one. Last quarter was solid. It jumped pretty sharply last quarter. And what's interesting is it actually hasn't bounced as much as some of the other names in this space. So maybe look at like a bullish strategy, targeting like a move maybe back up into like the 90 area to play catch up with some of its peers, which have had like a bigger bounce. Five Below, 10 points priced in here. So this and Dollar General, which will report on Thursday next week, are a lot more interesting after Dollar Tree's blow up this week. Five Below has been a little bit less volatile around earnings recently, although it did jump 11 last quarter. But the option pricing to me seems pretty elevated compared to what it's been moving recently. The setup it is interesting because it's kind of in like this tight little consolidation here, um, and based off how hard Dollar Tree got hit, again it kind of makes it more interesting. But I feel like a low debit out of the money strangle would probably be the only way I would approach this, just because I don't know, options seem a little expensive, and really the only way it seems like it's gonna have a big move is if it's like very strong or very weak, right? Restoration Hardware. This one should be nuts. They priced it in 27 points, and it's the biggest priced in move of the week at the moment. So last quarter, kind of a non-event by Restoration Hardware standards. Really wasn't a big mover, and options are even more expensive this quarter. So options were pricey last quarter and didn't really move much. Now they're even more expensive. Expectations are very, very, very high, but short interest is also very, very, very high. So it just seems like it has a recipe for a huge move. And I know 27 points is still expensive, but like this is one that I feel like it could really get wild with just like the huge short interest, the history of some really, really, really big swings. I don't know which way I would lean. Kind of on the fence, kind of maybe like wait and see to really start to put some options on, maybe like size into this. I'll see what like the option, as we get closer to like Wednesday, see if where the stock is and what the option pricing looks like at the time. But this is one that could really be a wild mover next week. Slack, so work. 3.25. What's priced in here? First quarter was a dud, right? That was rack here, and stock has basically just remained in like the downtrend since then. It is pushing up into the top of the downtrend though, and it's one of only maybe a couple of high growth software stocks that hasn't really bounced yet, which is kind of interesting. It's a tough setup overall, but um, you know if it does break that downtrend, I mean, it seems like it could have like a pretty clean path to like the 26, maybe even like the 27 area. So options are priced in like 3.25, maybe. Like it seems like expectations are a little bit lower, and it hasn't really bounced versus some of its peers. So maybe look at some sort of like low debit bullish strategy on this, just to see if it can finally turn the corner. All right, Thursday before the open, Dollar General, like I just mentioned, 975 is what's priced in here. Huge question mark after Dollar Tree's numbers. This has outperformed Dollar Tree in the past, though, and traders gave it the benefit of the doubt because you can see it really wasn't down much, even though Dollar Tree like just collapsed on Tuesday. Um, but that also means that it could be volatile, and it's really probably going to have to be an excellent quarter because the risk to reward seems much more skewed to the downside after that Dollar Tree print. But maybe what you can watch to see how Five Below is, right? So if Five Below is bad, then maybe Dollar General gets dragged down with it, and maybe there's not so much of a trade there. But if Five Below is good and maybe pops, then that kind of makes Dollar General a little bit more interesting. So I'll be wait and see, and I'll kind of maybe take a take a look at Five Below and make a call off of that. G3. So 4.5 points, what's priced in. Those are monthly options. Pretty consistent, big mover. It's an apparel name. Had a nice quarter in September and popped, and then it jumped again on Ralph Lauren's numbers, kind of similar to PVH. But also, PVH this week kind of a dud on earnings, and this and PVH are kind of similar charts. So the problem with this is that the monthly options are tough because you're paying for time. And at 4.5 points, I mean that's kind of more or less what it's been moving recently. So, it really only seems like the way you could approach this is if you could get risks down some way. Just because options, like the extra time, seems to kind of remove some of like the potential with the trade. Kroger, 1.5 points. What's priced in this quarter? It really had been Mr. Consistent on earnings for a long time, but the past 2 quarters, it hasn't paid the straddle. Volatility is drying up, and the company just gave guidance earlier in November, which helped it pop there. So probably means an avoid for me, right? Volatility drying up, and they already guided, so it's probably an avoid. Signet. So 3 points was priced in here, kind of like a beaten down retailer. Tiffany's just got bought out though, and this is actually like the last diamond jewelry company left traded. It's been flatlining for about 2 months now, right? Just a real tight like consolidation here, and this is a big catalyst. So if it's going to break this consolidation, odds are, I mean, earnings are as good of a reason to do that as any, right? So it seems like it could have 4 to 5 points either way potentially. So might look at volatility strategy on this. Children's Place, 7.5 points was priced in here, and this actually seems like one of the more interesting setups for the week. Options seem underpriced on this just based on the chart and what it typically moves. Plus, you got the holiday guide coming up too, so straddle, strangle, maybe the way to go on that. All right, Thursday after the close, big night. Cloudera, $1.50 is what's priced in here. Trying to turn the corner after a really rough stretch. So you can see just brutal stretch. Trying to turn the corner. Had a nice print back in September. Held on to the gains, kind of moving up into it. So if it can put another solid quarter together, it gets back through 10. Maybe starts to even pick up more momentum further into like the low teens, right? So kind of undecided, but if anything, might lean bullish on that. CrowdStrike, 7 points. What's priced in here? Options seem underpriced on this one too. Rallied off its low, but it really hasn't bounced as much as some other ones. The first 2 quarters as a public company, pretty big mover. So the chart to me seems to indicate like it has 9 to 10 either way. So like 9 to 10, maybe even more higher, and then just revisiting like the low, it's about 10 points. So options pricing at 7 seems to have 9 or 10 either way. So volatility strategy. DocuSign, 775 ish is what's priced in there. Those are monthly options though. I'm actually kind of surprised that they don't do weeklies on this yet, but it had a monster move last quarter, and we were playing a volatility strategy that quarter because the options seem underpriced, and it may have moved way above what they were pricing in. This quarter, different setup though, and I really don't like it as much. Higher expectations, higher option pricing, so probably an avoid for me. Uh, Lulu, not confirmed. Based off the option pricing though, it doesn't seem like it's going to be next week, so I'll circle back to that when they finally confirm. Okta, another big software name, 1175 is what's priced in. We just had a swing on this, which worked pretty well. And in terms of earnings, this is definitely a wait and see for me, because these high growth momentum names, again, still really aren't getting rewarded on earnings. So I want to see how the other software stocks fare earlier in the week, and then maybe I'll do something with Okta. PagerDuty, 425 was priced in. Those are monthly options. Kind of a similar setup to work, right? Just kind of like working on breaking like the long monthly downtrend. It is a little bit better in the sense that it's through some downtrend resistance and it's hanging above the 50-day. But it really hasn't been a great name on earnings since it came public, and the monthly contracts mean that you have to pay for extra time. So I don't think I'm going to do anything with this one. Alta, big retail report. So 21 points is what's priced in. Absolutely destroyed last quarter, and minus like this one quick bounce at the end of September, it really hasn't had much of a move off that low. And when growth stalls on high price stocks, like watch out, right? I mean, like it's a bad recipe, and this one could still be in trouble. So I'd say overall, I may lean bearish on this, but even at 21 points, I feel like the option pricing leaves a little room on either side. So maybe look at like some like lower debit strangles on this one. Zoom, another new IPO, another high growth, high momentum software stock. 825 is what's priced in on Zoom. It traded closely with CrowdStrike for a while, but now the two are separating a little bit. Of those two, I feel like Crowd seems more interesting just from like a technical and option pricing point of view. So I think I'm going to focus on that one over Zoom. And then last but not least, Friday before the open, Big Lots. So these are monthly options. They're pricing in about 275. This one has had some big moves in the past, but at 20, I'm just not sure how big of a move you're going to see, like point-wise. Percent-wise, yes, but point-wise, I don't know. It is the holiday quarter, though, and short interest is actually still pretty high. So I guess it's possible you see like a pent-up breakdown because it's like hanging right around this 20 level, or maybe a breakout and like a little bit of a squeeze. Like last quarter wasn't too bad, right? Quarter before that, not too bad either. So maybe you get a little bit of like a squeeze if the numbers are good. The chart definitely looks more bearish, but maybe like that catch people off guard if like the numbers are good. Plus the short interest is high, so the option pricing, it's not great, but it's also not terrible. And it's the holiday quarter for a retailer, so I mean that does tend to lead to a little bit higher volatility. So we'll see. I'm undecided with that one though. All right. So you can see, I mean, pretty busy lineup for tech software earnings. We have a ton of bio news expected. It's the beginning of December, and that means we get the jobs report too. So actually a lot to look forward to when we get back from like the Thanksgiving break, and just gonna jump right into things. All right. So again, I hope you have a absolutely fantastic holiday. Enjoy the time with your family, with your friends. If you're traveling anywhere, have a safe trip. If you like this video, please show some love by following up with the link in the description. Get more information on options to play. Maybe you're looking for more trade ideas. All right. Have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you guys